So, Backlash 2025 ended, give or take about 15 minutes ago. Yeah, that was a show. I mean, there's not too much to say going into this here. Just, it was a show. They built things up. A couple matches I thought were going to be there aren't. One of them's going to be on Saturday night's main event. Again, this post-WrestleMania period has been kind of a lull. Like, even more of a lull than it usually has been. Just very, very apathetic feeling for this show. We open things off with a fatal four-way match for the United States Championship between Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. Right off the bat, Knight avoided a splash into the corner from Fatu. Fatu hit his head on the ring post. Knight countered a Samoan drop into a death drop DDT. Knight and Priest hit a high-low maneuver on Fatu. McIntyre came in, hit a suplex on, I believe it was LA Knight, and then a spine buster on Priest. Priest hit Fatu with a Frankensteiner off the top ropes. Fatu did come back at a pop-up Samoan drop into the timekeeper barricade on, I believe it was McIntyre. I forgot to write down who that was. Fatu had a running hip attack on McIntyre. McIntyre fought back, raked Fatu's eyes, but then suplexed him into hitting a swanton on LA Knight. McIntyre hit a Claymore on Priest, but that knocked him into a pinning scenario on LA Knight. So McIntyre had to break that up. Priest then rolled out of the ring after a Claymore kick from another Claymore kick from McIntyre. Knight avoided a moonsault and hit his two sort of springboard elbow drops onto Fatu. As this happened, Priest and McIntyre fought into the crowd. They fought near the sound storage area. They got up on top of two carrying cases. Priest hit the South Heaven choke slam, threw a table off of that. That took them out of the match. As this happened, LA Knight was fighting back. I believe he hit a BFT on the outside, and then got Fatu on the ring announcer table. Just before he could hit his flying elbow drop, however, Solo Sikoa pulled Jacob Fatu off of the announce table. LA Knight came down to confront them, and Jeff Cobb emerged from the crowd to attack LA Knight. Fatu revived and was not too happy to see that Solo got involved again, but did hit his running hip attack and his moonsault for the 3 count and the victory. Overall, very fun match. Definite candidate for match of the night. I think I did put it maybe just a little bit behind another one. But yeah, overall, really fun match. Good high spots involved. I am kind of intrigued where they're going with this Jacob Fatu and the Bloodline situation. Are we going to get the Orton and Evolution finish here, I guess? Don't know just yet, but yeah, it's definitely looking that way. Jeff Cobb being added to the mix is interesting. I know he's worked a lot in Japan. I know he's actually a New Zealand wrestler, so I mean, I guess technically you could claim he's part of the Bloodline, but I'm not entirely sure on that. So yeah, that could be interesting to see where that goes. And that leads us into our next match, the Women's Intercontinental Championship match between Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. Obviously, I didn't cover the Raw after Mania, but shock of shocks, after winning the championship, the Women's Tag Team Championships, they immediately dropped them back, and Becky turned on Lyra and revealed that she was the one who attacked Bayley, that this was all part of her plan. I don't know if it was her plan to lose the belts, but maybe. Right off the bat, though, Valkyria countered an arm drag into a crucifix pin attempt. Valkyria put on a swinging surfboard hold. Valkyria then hit her drop kick through the ropes. Lynch came back in an exploder, began arguing with Lyra's fiance on the outside of the ring. Valkyria began to fight back. She countered an exploder into a fisherman's buster. Valkyria then hit a delayed superplex. Lynch then attempted to use the ropes for a leverage pin and a roll-up scenario, but the ref caught her. Lynch blocked a moonsault with her arms, or with her knees, and then got the disarmer on for a brief moment, then hit the manhandle slam, but only got a 2 count. Becky kind of snapped, grabbed a chair. When the ref tried to get the chair out of the ring, Becky removed the turnbuckle pad. They began fighting out into the ring a little bit. Again, at one point, Lynch hit a maneuver sending Valkyria into the second turnbuckle pad, and then followed that up with another manhandle slam, but only got a 2 count. There was one more manhandle slam attempt, and again, only a 2 count. Again, finally, Becky hits a thumb to Lyra's eye. Goes for another manhandle slam. Lyra counters that into a roll-up for the 3 count of the victory. Knowing that Valkyria just squeaked by caused Lynch to snap, she attacked Valkyria, put on the disarmor, and the officials had to come in and break it up. Becky Lynch wanted to return to the ring, but Jason Jordan kept blocking her, and that's kind of how it ended. Overall, really enjoyable match. I'm glad Valkyria won. I don't think we need to have former world champions going after the second-tier belts here when we were still trying to establish them. Again, I would rather see Lynch take on a new protege, maybe like a Zoe Stark, or, yeah, I guess Zoe Stark's still in the company. Everyone else in the Pure Fusion Collective got released, but I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, you know, Dakota Kai isn't there anymore. Don't know exactly what they're going to do with Roxanne Perez. Again, maybe we'll get a couple more call-ups from NXT and we can start to beef up that second-tier division a little bit. Like I said, a very fun match. The ending, not the roll-up part of it, but the whole beatdown afterwards, you think that would lead to maybe Bayley making a return, but no, and then it just kind of ended. And that kind of went to an anticlimactic feel. I think that did hold the match back just a little bit. Okay, our next match is the Intercontinental Championship match between Dominic Mysterio and Penta El Zero Miedo. Penta immediately drop-kicked Dominic into the corner and hit a backstabber. Dominic came back and hit a torpe into a DDT on the outside of the ring. It was amazing. It was. I'm not joking when Wade Barrett said, the announcers both said, that was probably the best DDT they had ever seen. And it's like, yeah, that might be right in that aspect. Penta hit an inverted sling blade and then followed that with a crossbody into the outside of the ring. Dominic came back, got Penta in the position for the 619. Penta avoided it and hit a slingshot into a crucifix pin. It's at this point that Judgment Day started to hit the ring as Dominic hit Oblivion on Penta. Penta did hit the Destroyer on the apron, and that's when Carlito came out. The other members of Judgment Day came out through the crowd. Balor looked like he was going to get a cheap shot on Penta, but decided to turn around and get a chair, and that was long enough for everyone to get caught and ejected, but Balor, it was Carlito, stuck around a little bit more trying to interfere. Balor did distract the ref long enough for El Grande Americano to headbutt the loaded Penta with the loaded mask. That enabled Dominic to hit the frog splash for the 3 count of the victory. This match started out great, and then I did not like the finish. I'm okay with Dominic retaining. I mean, obviously they're building to. They're supposed to be building to Balor betraying Dominic, but they haven't really done that very well. That's been part of the problem with this. Like, I think they want Balor to turn and be a heel, but then they don't want the rest of the group to still be with Dominic because they like him more, and yeah, that just doesn't make sense. Like, if you're going to break Balor away, he kind of has to either be the one who gets betrayed, or the group has to go with Balor, and Dominic is the one who's kicked out. Yeah, again, that's just kind of where this is getting confusing. The fact that Liv, where would Liv and Raquel fall on this with, Liv going out to shoot her movie. Raquel was nowhere to be seen during this. I mean, it would have been nice to see her at least, but yeah, it's just a little too confusing for its own good. Alright, our next match is Walter versus Pat McAfee. Right off the bat, Walter smiles at McAfee during the taunting sessions. He goes for a chop, McAfee avoids it, but then tried to do a slingshot maneuver and tripped over the top rope, walked into a big boot. Walter shrugged it off, a couple chops, delivered some of his own. Basically, the motif of this match was Walter constantly jawing with Cole when he should be trying to defeat McAfee. That allowed McAfee to get back in. He avoided an elbow drop, he hit a running kick. McAfee hit the running kick. Walter invited Cole to the ring after a big boot. They continued jawing. Cole actually did move to the ring apron at one point. Again, McAfee landed a series of kicks. McAfee hit a super kick, but Walter hit his power bomb into a Boston Crab. At this point, Cole did get into the ring for some reason. Walter attempted to power bomb him. That enabled McAfee to hit a big boot. That sent, however, Walter came back, got another maneuver, knocked McAfee onto the ring apron. Walter tried to suplex McAfee back into the ring, and that set up the Ultimate Warrior Rick Rude finish, where Michael Cole grabbed Walter's boot to try to get leverage pin on that. It did not work as Walter actually kicked out. He immediately hit a big lariat on McAfee and then locked on the sleeper where McAfee eventually passed out. Overall, decent match. Afterwards, Walter actually showed a bit of sportsmanship to McAfee after that, but you know, didn't expect like a huge match. McAfee looked a little out of shape, actually. You know, he's been focusing more on announcing. I don't like the announcer matches. Yeah, this kind of, like, I would much rather see, you know, Walter refocus, go after Jey Uso, or start doing something to change his character just a little bit. But, yeah, like, the constant jawing with people on the outside doesn't make any sense. Like, it's bit him 3 times. You know, it almost cost him this match with McAfee, and it's like, you know, this is a guy who's always been billed as a serious, no-nonsense guy. He shouldn't be getting into these stupid arguments. That's kind of where it's just falling apart with me and kind of leaving a hollow taste in my mouth. Like I said, the match was not bad overall, but just kind of, you know, the right guy won here. I don't think McAfee needed to beat Walter, but I just need to see where this is going at some point. Okay, and that leads us into the Undisputed Championship match between John Cena and Randy Orton. Obviously, it's the last match between these two. It's in Orton's hometown, so it makes sense to do this. Cena half-heartedly offered a handshake at the beginning, tried to hit a thumb to the eye. Orton hit one of his own. He had a headlock takedown. After a shoulder tackle from Orton, Cena tried to powder and leave, but Orton chased him down. He hit the 20-count punch in the corner. Stomped on Cena's knee. Cena came back. He hit 4 of his 5 moves of doom, but Orton hit his snap power slam. He went for his hangman DDT. Cena countered that into an STF. Orton hit a hangman DDT. Went for the RKO. Orton countered an AA into an RKO. Cena had him up in the fireman's carry. He started the flip over, and Orton got enough of Cena's chin to hook him into the RKO position as well. So that took both men down. Cena countered a punt kick into another A, only got a 2 count. Orton hit a shoulder countered a shoulder block into an RKO. Cena went for a punt kick of his own. Orton dodged it. It got shoved into the ref. Cena went for the belt, tried for a belt shot, but Orton hit the RKO out of that, but the ref was out. Cena then knocked Orton into the ref again, really knocking the ref out of the ring, and knocking him out of the ring. They fought on the outside of the ring. Orton looked like he was setting up for an RKO on the announce table. Instead, he hit Cena with an attitude adjustment onto the announce table. He then set up another table on the outside of the ring. He hit an AA through that. He's hitting John Cena with the AA. Orton hit an RKO again, but there was no ref. A new ref hit the ring. Cena grabbed the belt, hit the ref, knocked him out. At this point, Nick Aldis and all the officials hit the ring. Orton kind of snaps. He hits all of these guys with RKOs. Orton goes for the punt kick, but R-Truth interferes to try to get him to stop. And that enables Cena to get a low blow, and then another belt shot. and then like 5 seconds later, the ref the original ref is revived and counts the 3 count for the fall. And yeah, this is where the shit really fell apart. Yeah, like I said, the match itself, again, a very good Orton Cena match. I think if you wanted a good account of what those matches are like, this was definitely one of them. But at least have Cena hit the AA after the belt shot. If you're gonna do that kind of thing, then maybe have him hit the AA or put him in the STF and have Orton pass out. To have the ref have Cena sit on Orton for like I said, 5 or 6 seconds, and then have the ref struggle and make the 3 count doesn't make a lick of sense. After Orton had just, when you had guys kicking out of AAs and RKOs, it's similar scenarios in this, and it's just where it really falls apart, unfortunately. Afterwards, Cena got on the mic. He said, I don't want music. I want competition. He said, take a, he does this whole heel shtick. However, then, just as it was going off the air, Cena suddenly kind of stopped as people were stopping to acknowledge that, again, this was his last match in St. Louis, and that was probably going to be, again, this is his retirement tour, and people are, again, beginning to realize that John Cena is not going to be in WWE anymore, and it's starting to hit home, and it looked like it was maybe starting to hit home with him. Instead of doing the heel shtick, walking out all the way, he stopped and acknowledged the crowd. He broke character. He put instead of he's been wearing the belt backwards. In this case, he put it over his shoulder. He said, nope, he acknowledged the crowd acknowledging him. So maybe Cena's turned back babyface is going to be a bit sooner than we thought. Again, it's going to come down to what they do with Cody. Cody was not at the show. In fact, the only person who I guess made their big impact was Jeff Cobb, and that was it. So yeah, yeah, like I said, overall the matches were not terrible. They just didn't exactly have a lot of heat to them. I mean, Orton and Cena had heat, but that's just because, again, it's Orton's hometown, and this is in all likelihood the last time they're facing each other in the ring. So yeah, that's just kind of how it's going to be. Even though Money in the Bank is in Los Angeles, I don't know if Cena will be at that. Again, I do think he needs to try to space the matches out as much as he can. You don't want to risk getting hurt. Yeah, exactly. If anything like that happens, it could be, it did look like maybe Lyra Valkyria got hurt during her match too, which, again, if she has to forfeit, it makes her beating Becky Lynch kind of pointless. It just rings hollow. But yeah, like I don't want Becky beating Bayley for the championship. It's just going to be like, you two should be going after the big belts, not this. Like, let's build the undercard up so we have these undercard women's championships. I mean, that's kind of been the problem with them the last, since they existed. Like, Chelsea Green was great, and then, where you think you're going to build towards, Piper Niven eventually winning the championship, that doesn't seem to happen. Instead, and again, that's something against Zelina Vega, but it's just, yeah, these belts have, this was the first time either one of those undercard championships got defended on a PLE. So you're seeing, again, right, this post-WrestleMania period, I mean, there's usually a lull, but this was really a lull. It's like, I understand why people are not into WWE right now. And I think they're maybe also learning a little bit of the lesson from AEW. It's the same thing AEW's done with Jon Moxley, where, again, people really don't want to see this. And, and you may have had this long-term plan to build to July, but you maybe should have reworked it. And again, who knows? I assume Cody is going to come back at some point, either at Money in the Bank or at the Saudi show, and he'll win the championship opportunity at SummerSlam, and then that's where that's going to build. Like I said, Jey Uso versus Logan Paul, which was in the thumbnail there. You thought would have been on this show, but no, they're saving that for Saturday night's main event. Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker against Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Not happening. Reigns seems to be, I'm guessing he's taking a break too. That's understandable. Punk, seems to be going alone against Rollins and Breaker right now, so who knows when that's going to be, which is also in my thumbnail again. Boy, that's just, again, how incredibly, droll, for lack of a better term, WWE has been right now. And it's, again, you think they just had what I still thought was a pretty decent WrestleMania. They could still build off of it, and they really haven't. So yeah, I guess in a roundabout way, I'm going to be giving this show overall a C. Like I said, the matches were not bad. They weren't even particularly aggravating. It's just they were matches, and they were mostly enjoyable. But, again, the storylines are just not really there at the moment. So, yeah, it just leads out to an average show. Okay, so next video is going to be the NFL schedule preview. Then there's probably going to be a Action Zone after that. Then the random trade review on I Am Not Starfire. And wrestling-wise, the next PLE, it's Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank. And they're both on the same day. And I don't know if it's going to be 2 videos or if it'll just be one big video. Right now, I'm thinking it's going to be one big video just because Worlds Collide starts, I'm speaking in Central Time Zone terms here, it starts 2 o'clock here, and so you have to think that's in the 3 to 3.5 hour range. And then at 6 o'clock, it's going to be Money in the Bank. So yeah, again, I don't know if what they're going to do with the kickoff show or anything like that. I guess they could run 2 different live shows. I thought Worlds Collide would be on Peacock. Maybe it isn't. I'll check afterwards. Put it up right here if it is. But yeah, so I'd like to do both shows. I don't know if it's going to be, like I said, it might be just one big video or 2 videos. I'm not entirely sure. See you all next time. Hey guys, remember, you can help me expand my professional wrestling coverage by supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions. Also, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.